This is what a Minecraft house looks like in the first version of the game, and this is what a Minecraft house looks like 14 years later. Pretty big difference, right? Well, in this video, I'm going to be building a house in every single version of the game starting all the way back in 1.0. Alright, and we are in. Wow, there is not really that much to work with. Alright, so the first house is going to be made right here. Okay, so this is what the shape of the house is going to be, and I think now I'm going to add a roof to it. Alright, so there that is. Now I'm going to put down the upside down. Wait, what? Okay, so you can't put stairs upside down. That's kind of annoying. I think that's probably the best I can do, and it doesn't even look that good. And just make a quick interior, and the 1.0 house is complete. So let's move on to 1.1. So it turns out that this update didn't actually add any blocks, but it did add beaches, so I'm gonna make a beach house. Okay, so this is the closest thing I could find to a beach, so I'm gonna make the house right here. Also, apparently spruce or birch never got a name, it's just called wood. Anyway, there's some legs, a base. Every time that I gotta look for a new item, I have to scroll through all of this just to find it. Like, why is the door right there? Put some walls and windows, and finally a roof. Alright, and here is the interior, which means that it's time to move on to update 1.2. Alright, welcome to Minecraft version 1.2, the update where not much was added. Again. Although something that was added though was the jungle biome, and I just happened to spawn really close to one. So I'm gonna do the obvious and make a couple of jungle tree houses. So I'm gonna have one of them right here, and have a second one right here, and I have a bridge connecting them. Okay, well, for some reason the trees are just decaying on themselves. I don't really know why, but I hope that's fixed in the next update. Okay, so both of these houses are just gonna be circular shapes, so let me just... Unfortunately, we still don't have access to upside down stairs, so we're gonna just have to do this for now. Not many doors have been added as well, so we only have access to the oak door, which doesn't really look that good. Also, we can use fences for windows, which actually looks kind of cool. So for the roof, I'm just gonna be using wooden slabs. Okay, maybe not. You can't actually place them on the top half of the blocks, so we're just gonna have to stick to the classic roof made of stairs. So this is what a pyramid roof looks like when you don't have angled stairs. It's a little bit weird. Anyway, for the second house, I'm just gonna repeat this design down here, and there we go. Right now I'm working on the bridge, which shouldn't take too long to make since it's just from here to there. So that is the 1.2 house, or should I say houses, complete. So now it's time to move on to 1.3. So in Minecraft version 1.3, they didn't really add that many blocks, so what I'm gonna do instead is add upgrades to the current houses that I already have. Oh my god, this is the best update ever. I finally have access to searching items. This is so good. Okay, so I accidentally loaded the world in Minecraft version 1.20, and it didn't really like that. I still have this version of the world, and it's available to download, link in the description. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna just make a new world in Minecraft version 1.3. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is just clear out a little area here. Okay, so for this house, I'm gonna try and go for a medieval kind of feel to it, so I'm gonna start with an outline. Stone bricks are also added, so what I can do is make a wall like this, and then add some variations into it with cobblestone. And for a little bit of extra detail, I'm gonna put trapdoors on the side of the wood here. And finally, just make a really quick floor. So for the top part of the house, I'm actually replacing the trapdoors with spruce stairs so that I can build up from there. So I'm gonna add a third story right here so that the roof looks a little bit cooler. So those are the outlines complete. And it's kind of looks weird right now, but that should be fixed once I add a roof. Minecraft still hasn't updated the glass texture, so you can still barely see through it. Also figured out that trapdoors make for some pretty good windows, so I'm putting them everywhere. I'm also going to add a balcony right here. So for the roof, I'm going to use stone brick stairs and spruce stairs. So now I'm just going to repeat this roof up here, and then the house should be done. Alright, so that's the 1.3 house complete, so now it's time to move on to 1.4. In Minecraft version 1.4, they added mossy cobblestone walls and normal cobblestone walls. They also added a bunch of crops, so I think the only obvious thing is to add a garden to this house. So there is the outer wall. So the two new crops added were carrots and potatoes, so that's what I'm gonna make the farm out of. Okay, so the last thing that I'm gonna do in this update is add an interior to this house using the new flower pots. Alright, so this is what the new interior of the house looks like. So that means it's time to move on to update 1.5. It actually turns out that 1.5 is the redstone update, so why not just make a secret house? Okay, so after a little bit of work, I managed to get this thing. It's not very secret, but it works. So Minecraft 1.6 didn't really add that much because it was the horse update, so all I'm gonna do is... yeah, that's literally all I'm doing. Minecraft 1.7 actually added a whole bunch of new blocks and a whole bunch of new biomes, so I'm gonna just make a whole new house. I tried building the 1.7 house in the theme of a witch house, but I didn't really like it, so I'm gonna try something completely different and make a modern house. So like any good house, I'm gonna start by flattening this area. Yeah, that's not very good. So to start the house, I'm gonna make a whole bunch of different shapes where the rooms are gonna be. Okay, so that actually looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna add a floor of acacia planks to the house, just like that. And since it's a modern house, it's also gonna have really big windows. And right here, I'm actually gonna make a pool. So the roof in this area is made out of cyan stained clay, and then I'm also gonna have gray stained glass panes going around the outside as a little balcony. All right, just put a staircase in, and now I'm gonna finish these walls right here. Also, yes, they still have not added new doors yet, so I'm still stuck with this. I'm also adding a second balcony right now because apparently one just isn't enough. And for the final details of this house, I'm gonna add some beach chairs and some greenery on the outside. And with that, the 1.7 house is complete, and it actually looks pretty good. Minecraft 1.8 is the bountiful update, and it added a ton of new blocks, a lot of which can be used for terraforming, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna use these two blocks to make a road connecting this house to this house, and then use these two blocks to make it look more natural. So that is the road complete, but right now it's still floating. So now I'm gonna use some of the newer blocks like andesite and polished andesite to make it look a lot more natural. So that's half of it done, and the other half. All right, now it is time to move on to 1.9. Minecraft version 1.9 is probably one of the most controversial updates because of this, and this. Oh, and also this. Oh, also can't forget about this one too. So what if I made a build kind of celebrating all these features like a Coliseum or something? I think I'm gonna make it right around in this area, and I don't wanna make anything too big, so it's gonna be about this big, but it's also gonna have balconies on these off to the sides here so that people can actually watch the fights in the middle. Okay, finally after a lot of building, I got the floor all filled in. Okay, so unfortunately we still don't have sandstone walls, but I think sandstone stairs are still gonna work just fine. Right now I'm building up the walls, and I think I'm gonna make them around 5 blocks tall. And there we go, now it is time to add some detail. Okay, so I put some stairs down, and I think I'm actually gonna use birch fences as sandstone walls. Alright, so now it is time to work on the places where people sit, and I'll start by making a ring of stairs all the way around, just like that. And now I'm going to start building upwards out here, and I'm also going to put a ring of fences around this layer too. Now I'm going to build out a couple of blocks this way. So right now I'm putting in the chairs, and after that I'll start working on the actual walls. That is all the chairs in. Now I'm just going to repeat this design on all 4 sides. Now I just need to come up with something for the corners here. So that is the full interior of the Coliseum complete. Now we just need to work on the outside. The final thing that I'm going to do in this build is to just detail the walls outside. Okay, now it is time to move on to Minecraft version 1.10. Minecraft version 1.10 once again didn't actually add that many blocks, so what I'm going to do is make something that hasn't been added into the game yet, and that is the mushroom. So I'm going to just make a couple of these, and I'll get back to you when I'm done. Alright, so that is the build for 1.10 finished, and it's pretty simple, but I think it actually looks pretty good. So I'm in 1.11 right now, and I'm looking at the bottom of the shulker box's texture. I think that I could actually use this to make some pretty cool details, but I need to figure out which block would actually work for that first. So this is what I've come up with so far, and it's pretty simple, but I still think I can come up with more uses for them. I'm even putting them in spots that you wouldn't really notice, like in the grass. I never even thought of using shulkers as decorations like this, and it doesn't even look that bad. The only other block added in this update was the observer, but there's not really much that I can do with that in this world. Alright, so now we are in update 1.12, and... oh. I still want to make use of these blocks, and I think I actually came up with an idea on how to. For example, I could put the red glazed terracotta inside of the mushrooms. We can also use concrete powder to add more variations into the stone. And in the grass, even in the pool too. Now I'm going to move on to update 1.13, and this could get a little bit interesting. Well, that's the first time that I've seen this message so far. I noticed that everything's a whole lot less contrasted now, but at least I can swim now. Okay, so what I'm thinking is to make a pretty large aquarium right around in this area. But before I do that, I'm actually going to make some custom trees using the new wood blocks. I can even use some slabs and trapdoors as just a little bit of extra detail to the tree. Now I'm just going to make a couple more of these. I also added this, which I actually thought was kind of cool. Anyway, now I'm going to build the aquarium. Now I'm going to fill the outline with sand. Now I need to build the walls up. And for that, I'm going to use light blue stained glass. Okay, so now I'm going to make some structures inside before finally filling it all with water. I'm going to start with some basic terrain, and to finish it off, I'm going to make a giant stone structure in the middle. Now I just need to fill it with water and finally fish. I actually completely forgot about the new underwater plants, so I'm going to put those in first. Start with a little bit of seagrass, a couple of sea pickles, and finally some kelp. Now I'm going to add a bunch of tropical fish. So that is the aquarium for Minecraft version 1.13 complete. Alright, so this is update 1.14, and it is the village and pillage update. Now I can actually have decent looking storage inside of this house. I can use andesite walls on this for a little bit of extra detail too. I can put lanterns in the corners of these walls and along this path too. I can even add a chimney to my house, just like that, and put a campfire in the forest, add some signs onto the side of the house, and a little path to the house. Now it's time to move on to update 1.15. But before I move on to the 1.15 build, I just wanted to tell you to subscribe, only because you've made it this far into the video. It helps out the channel a ton, and I want to hit 100,000 subscribers sometime in the future. So it's going to be a fairly short building made out of mostly glass and spruce wood, and this is where the entrance is going to be. Now I'm going to repeat these windows on the other side, put some fences on the walls for a little bit of extra detail, and for even more detail, I'm going to put some vines on it, along with some other extra added greenery. You can even put vines on top of leaves for a little bit of extra variation in them. Now it's time for the roof, which I'm actually going to make mostly out of slabs, which could make a pretty interesting effect. So that is the exterior of the build complete. Now I just need to work on the inside. So this is where all the bee nests are going to be, and now I need to add a bunch more decorations, like filling it with flowers, and of course, bees. So that is 1.15's build complete. So this is update 1.16, which is the Nether update, and it actually made me kind of realize that my village is actually missing a Nether portal. So I'm gonna make a custom one right here. So it's going to be a little bit large, but that should be fine because I'm going to make a tree around it. So it's mainly going to be made out of oak wood, but it's actually going to be partially corrupted near the portal using some of the new nether blocks. But first I got to actually make the tree. So I think I'm not actually going to build the leaves on it because that would just take forever. So I'm going to just make it a dead tree instead. Okay, so there's not really that much else I can do other than actually adding the corrupted part, which is going to be around here. So I replaced some of the grass like that. So I think that'd be the 1.16 build completed. So what I want to do in update 1.17 is start work on what is going to be the biggest build that I've done so far, which is a giant castle. In this update, I'm going to just outline it using deep slate bricks and then work more on it in the next one. So this is going to be the main part of it, and I'm probably going to make some other parts off to the side. Alright, so there are the outlines of it, and now I'm going to move on to 1.18 where I'm going to start building it up. So this is actually the first update that I'm going to give myself access to World Edit to because of just the size of this build. So I'm going to start by making a really big gradient in the middle all the way up to the top. Also, I can finally do it in a time lapse. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the smaller towers, which shouldn't take as long as the big one in the middle. And finally, the two big towers in the back. So these two are just going to be the normal castle walls with maybe a watchtower right here, but up here is probably going to be more of a pitched roof. And there we go. Now I'm just going to add some watchtowers in the corner here. So there's the base of it. Now I'm just going to add a roof and even some campfires for a little bit of smoke. Okay, so now it's time for me to detail the actual walls right here. So that is the front of the castle complete. Now I just need to work on the top of it. And for that, I'm going to complete it in one big time lapse. Time lapse over. That was like 40 minutes and 10 seconds. So now it's time to move on to update 1.19 where I'm actually going to make a reasonable sized house. Okay, so for 1.19, 1.20, and 1.21, I'm going to just make some really simple small houses right here. So I'm going to make the 1.19 house right now. I can use birch and strip birch to add a little bit of texture right here. Same thing on the other side, so now I'm going to make the door. It's looking okay right now, but it's still lacking a little bit of depth, so now I'm going to add like a little bit of a roof and some windows. And now a garden in the front, and add some lanterns on the fence. Now it's time for the roof. So now that the roof is added, I realized that this house actually kind of needs a second story. And now a quick roof. I think I'm actually going to extend this window a little bit upwards so that I can get rid of this line right here and make it look a lot more natural. And I'm going to put a chimney right here. And to finish it off, I'm going to put a little bit of moss on it. Now it's time to move on to update 1.20. Okay, I'm going to just say it, 1.20 was not the greatest update ever. I mean, we have hanging signs and stuff, but even those aren't the greatest. You can actually make some pretty interesting designs with the decorated pots, which I think is actually pretty cool. Also, they added the cherry trees, so I'm going to put some of those around the area. Now it's time for the final update of this video, 1.21. Okay, so this is update 1.21 and it is the final update. I also managed to get the old houses into the new world, so that's actually pretty cool. And the final house of this video is going to be built right here. I'm going to make use of all of the new tuff blocks and also all of the new copper blocks. I've never actually played this update before, and so far I'm actually really enjoying these new blocks. I'm going to use some of the new copper trap doors as windows, which actually look kind of nice. gonna have a really large roof. I don't really know why, but it seems like it'd be kind of cool. So that is the front complete, although it doesn't really have sides or a back. So each of the inner stairs are gonna have another window right there, so now I'm gonna work on that. Okay, now I just need to make a little bit of room for the back of it, and I might have to get rid of a couple of village houses. And finally, I'm gonna make the roof. This could get a little bit hard though. And lastly, I'm gonna add a little bit of variation into the roof. And finally, after all of this, I can say that I've built a Minecraft house in every single update.